visible to all of you? Is this visible to all of you
Yes,
guys?
yes.
Okay. So today we are going to learn about the Linux privilege escalation, right? So anybody have any idea or anything that what is Linux privilege escalation? You can write in the chat section. Shivangi, the chat section is open to all of the user here.
Yes, sir, it's open to all.
Okay, all right. Okay, so nobody have any idea regarding Linux privilege escalation? Right? Okay, all right. Linux plus privilege plus escalation. Okay. So what is Linux here, guys? What is Linux here? Okay, privilege escalation is a technique by which an attacker gains initial access to a limited or full interactive shell of a basic user or system account with limited privilege by Apurv. Okay, great. Okay, so Asik Ahmed is saying Linux is an OS operating system. So how many of you agree that Linux is an operating system? Linux is an operating system. Okay, Mohit Thakur. Okay, is it a class of operating? No, it's not a class of operating system. It's a class of privilege escalation. But we are going to learn the basic things that what is privilege escalation and how it works, because knowing the fundamental is the most important thing, right? Great. So someone is saying that it is a kernel, right? So Linux is a kernel. And what is privilege? What is the meaning of privilege here? What do you understand by privilege? Guys, having authority, type of access, we got access. Okay, access. Okay. Well, so let me open my Kali Linux. Okay. It will be better if you guys also open your Kali machine so that you guys can do practical along with me. To gain unauthorized access. Okay, that's the meaning of privilege. No, I don't think so. Power to do something. Okay, let's check what is privilege in Linux.
Permissions.
Okay, permission. Okay. Okay, so let's going to learn what is privilege in Linux and what type of privilege we have, how to escalate the privilege, and that's the meaning of privilege escalation, right? So first let's check what is privilege in Linux. Well, So here I am going to open my terminal. Let me zoom it. Okay, so let's check who the user is logging here. So the SEP user is logging here, right? Now let's go inside the cd/home, right? This is the home directory of the user, and let's go inside the SEP directory, that is the SEP user directory. Okay, then how can we check the permission of the directory and files inside the SEP folder, right? So with the help of ls-l command, they can see, let me maximize it. We can see here the permission, right? So this is the permission, something like let's create a file here. Okay, so let's create a file here using touch command, and the name of the file will be like internship. Okay, let's do ls-l. Where is the internship file? So here is the internship file, right? And here you can see the permission. Okay, so any one of you explain me that what this mean. What is the meaning of hyphen? What is the meaning of rw hyphen? What is the meaning of r hyphen hyphen and r hyphen hyphen?
So
Yeah.
the first hyphen means that it's a file. If D is written, then it's a directory. That is a folder.
Great.
The next three, I guess, is for admin, and I mean, is for an admin, then normal user, and
Group.
a group.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
First
R is
one is
read, W is write, and X would be execution, and hyphen is put means you're not allowed to do it.
Okay. Okay. Correct. So let's learn it. That what this mean. Okay.
The permission of read, write, and execution.
first
Correct.
three is for the main person root, and second one is for group, and third one is for others.
Oh, right. Right. You are correct. So let me tell you for the rest other. Okay. So where is the internship file? So here is the internship file, right? And here is the permission. Okay. Let me write here. Hyphen rw hyphen r hyphen hyphen r hyphen hyphen, right? This is okay. Correct. So this hyphen means it is a file, right? If in place of hyphen there is a d, then that means it's a directory. So in starting I created a file using touch command. The name of the file is internship, right? So here the hyphen indicate that it is a file, right? Instead of hyphen here is d, right? So you can see that morning batch something is a directory here, right? Directory is nothing but just a folder. In window we call it folder, and in Linux we call it directory, right? Now the first group of rw hyphen, right? This goes to user or the owner of the file, right? The second group of r hyphen hyphen, it goes to the group, and the third group of r hyphen hyphen, it goes to the other, right? Let me write something here. R wait a second. Rwx, then rwx, then rwx, right? Okay, now let me maximize it. This rwx, right? This rwx and the third group of rwx, right? So this one goes to user or the owner of the file. Who is the owner of the file? The user who created this file is the owner of this file, right? The second group goes to the group, right? And what is group? Anybody tell me? And this one goes to other. Okay, so what is group and what is other?
Sir,
Yes.
group means we can control. We can set up a group of persons in a group, so that they can, like, if we have a development section, then some files are only to be accessed by the group of development sections. So we can create a group and put the users in that group.
Great, great, great. And what is other here?
Other means the users who are not in the group or who are from the outside and who have the access to the system.
Right, right. Look, now what happened for rest of the other, that first group of RWX goes to owner. That means who create a file. Like let's example, this is a file. Name of the file is internship, and this file is created by SEP user, right? So SEP is the owner of this file, right? So this group of permission RWX goes to SEP, right? Now the second permission goes to group. So what is group? So let's assume this is a file of internship that contains some information. So let's support it's a file of an organization. So in organization, like there is a group of network engineer, right? These are the network engineer. These are the content creator, right? And these are the web developer, right? So for network engineer, for content writer, and for web developer, right? Now this SEP user or the owner wants to give only read permission to all the network engineer, right? Now what he will have to do, he has to do, he all the time, like 4 times he had to do, give the read permission to all the network engineers, right? So it will take a lot of time. It will take 4 times to give the permission one by one, right? So what he can do, he can simply create a group, right? And in group he can simply put all these 4 network engineer, right? And give the read permission to this file only, right? And this permission will also applicable for all the engineers or anyone who will be added in this group. So that's the meaning of group, right? So the second permission of RWX goes to the group, right? Now what is other? So guys, okay, my screen is visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, your screen is
okay.
visible.
Now who is other? So other is someone who is not the owner of this file or neither the member of the group, right? So that we consider as other, right? Now what is R here? So R stands for read, right? And W stands for write, whereas X stands for execute, right? Execute. The numerical value of read is 4, write is 2, and execute is 1, right? What is this numerical value? Anyone let me know that what is this numerical value? What we can do with the numerical value? What is 4 to 1?
You can give permission, sir, by this numerical.
Anyone ever hear CH mode 600? What is the meaning of CH mode 600? Any idea?
Yes, sir. Read and write, and 00 means null.
Read and write, and 00 means null. So this 0 is for
No one permission. No
There
permission.
means
No, no.
group owner will have read and write permission, and the remaining both will have 0 permissions, none of the permissions.
Right, correct. You are correct, right? So let me do here that this is the file internship and this is the permission, right? So the first RW and hyphen means nothing, right? So in place of execution, no permission, right? So RW or what you can say read write permission goes to owner. So this is owner and this is group. So what happens by default when we create a group, the owner itself the first member of that group, right? Because he is the creator of that group. So he is the first member of that group. So here no any other person is added in this group. So we are only seeing here the SEP user as the group, right? So first read write and hyphen, that means no execution permission is here, that goes to owner. The second group of R hyphen goes to group. So since SEP user is by default the member of group, so this is applicable only for SEP user. If we add someone in future in group, then this permission is applicable for that user also, right? And for other user, this permission is applicable, right? So we denote R with 4 numerical value, W with 2, and X with 1, right? Now if we add 4 plus 2 plus 1, right? It becomes 7, right? 4 plus 2 plus 1, it becomes simply becomes 7. If we add 4 plus 2, then it becomes 6, right? So what is the meaning of 4 here? So meaning of 4 is read, meaning of 2 is write. That means if we give 6, that means it has read and write permission, no execution permission, right? So that's the meaning of chmod 600, you can say, right? And that's all about the numerical value. Okay, now let's move ahead and let's learn something. Yeah, so let me open a new tab here. Okay, and here I am going to be a super user, right? What is super user?
The root user of system.
Right, so basically in Linux there are two type of user. The first is the normal user, or the second is the super user, or you can say super user as the root user or privileged user. Like it has access, he is the king of the Linux. He can do anything, he can execute any command. But normal user is like soldier, he don't have permission to execute all the permission, to execute all the command, right? So with the help of root user, let's go inside the home directory of self user. Home self. Okay, so we are inside the home directory of self user. So let's create a file here with the help of touch command. Touch file number 600. Okay, let's check the permission here. ls-l. So the permission for file 600 is something like this, right? That means root user can read and write this file, but cannot execute this file even, right? The same, the read permission is applicable for group, and for other only read permission is applicable, right? So can we consider the in second tab SAP user is login? So can we consider SAP user as the other user here? Because SAP user is not the owner of this file or neither in the group of this file, right? So can we consider SAP user as the other user here? You can write in the chat section.
Yes, we can.
Okay, right. Now, so for other, the only permission is read permission is applicable here for file 600, right? We cannot write something in this file, right? So let's try to write something in file 600 by SAP user. Okay. Yeah. Anyone saying something? Okay. So where is file 600? So where is file 600, right? So we are first, let's try to read the content of file 600 using cat command, right? Cat command is used to, right? So we can read here successfully, like since it contains nothing, it's an empty file, so it's not showing any content here, right? Now let's try to write something in file 600 using echo command. Okay, so let's write something echo. This is the last day of 2022, right? And where we are trying to write this, so we are going to write on file number 600. Okay, so what happens when I am going to press enter, right? So it says that permission denied. Yeah, someone saying something. Yes, hello. Okay, so it is showing permission denied. Why it's showing permission denied? Because for other user can only read this file, they cannot write or they cannot execute anything there, right? So that's the meaning of privilege, or that's the meaning of permission here, right? So for other user, they don't have all the privilege, right? They have lack of privilege, they can only read the content of this file, right? They cannot write or execute something on this file, right? So there we are, right? So that's the meaning of privilege, right? Now what is the meaning of escalation? So the meaning of escalation is very simple. That means to escalate. That means to increase the permission. That means to bypass. Right. That for example here the normal user cannot write something in this file, but by anyhow if we give permission to other user that you can write something in this file, so that is something called privilege escalation. Right. So here in this today's session we are going to learn that how we can do privilege escalation in Linux, right? There is other part that is window privilege escalation where we learn that how we can escalate permission in window, but today's topic is Linux privilege escalation. So we are going to cover how to escalate privilege using Linux or in Linux, right? So let me show you the TPT, right? So the very first thing we are going to learn is the what is Linux privilege escalation, right? So already we have covered that what is privilege escalation. We already know the meaning of privilege escalation, right? So just a second. Okay. So Linux privilege escalation means getting the higher privilege by escalating from a normal user to a root user through some methods, right? Now, what are the types of privilege escalation? Anybody know? Types of privilege escalation.
Horizontal and vertical, sir.
And what is horizontal and what is vertical privilege escalation?
So in vertical privilege escalation, we wish to go to attain the access of an account which has more access than our particular account. So from a normal user to a root user. And horizontal would be, for example, if the hacker wants to move from one administrator to another administrator within the same department.
Correct, right? So let's assume there is someone like attacker, right? And he's the network engineer of an organization, right? Or let's create an organization. So this is the organization, right? The name of the network administrator is the something like you can say Rohan. Okay, so Rohan is the network administrator of this organization, and this is the attacker, right? And here is a very sensitive file on the server, right? On the server there is a very sensitive file, right, that contains some information, some sensitive information regarding this organization, right? Now this person has some access. This person has access, like he can have access of read and write, right? He can read and write the content of this file, because since this is sensitive file, right? Now an attacker don't have any access. He cannot even read or write this file, right? He cannot even read or write this file, right? So what he's going to do, like he's trying to be Rohan from his profile, right? So that he will get access of read and write, right? So that is something called horizontal privilege escalation, right? Now that means increase the privilege in order to read the content of a file or access a file, right? Now the second thing, that is the vertical privilege escalation. So apart from Rohan, there is someone who is the super user or who is the admin, who have all the access, who have the access of read, write, and execute, right? So when the attacker try to gain the all the access or the privilege of root user directly, then this is something called vertical privilege escalation, right? So that is the meaning of vertical privilege escalation. So two types of privilege escalation, horizontal and vertical, right? And now the next thing, yeah, so this is about what is Linux privilege escalation. Now the second thing is why Linux privilege escalation, why there is need to escalate the privilege, why? Why is the need of,
sorry
yeah.
for the inconvenience, but I would like to know more. We've seen the types of privilege escalation. There is vertical and horizontal, but most of the articles write about lateral. I would like to know more about lateral. Is it also a type, or it's one of the forms of either vertical or horizontal? Thank you.
Sorry, could you please repeat once again? Unable to hear you properly.
We've seen different types of Linux privilege escalation, and we listed vertical and horizontal. But I've seen someone talking about lateral as a type of privilege escalation. Is it also a different type, or it is amongst, or it is a subset of either horizontal or vertical?
Okay, you are saying about lateral privilege escalation.
Yes.
Okay, so anyone know what is lateral privilege escalation? Guys, anyone know?
No, sir, no.
So it is nothing, it is just the name of horizontal privilege escalation, you can say, right? Just another name.
Oh, okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. So let's proceed further, and here we are. Yeah, so now we are learning why Linux privilege escalation, why is the need of doing this. Yeah, so who is going to let us know that what is the need of Linux privilege escalation?
Promote a super user.
Sorry,
Promote a admin user.
promote admin user, and what is the need to be an admin user?
To access the admin files like etc password, that type.
Okay, to access the
Examples.
etc, to access the etc password. Okay. So you guys know the hacking methodology, like there are some phase of hacking, right? When they are doing hacking, there are some phase. So let me explain you one by one, right? So the first phase is the footprinting, right? Or we can say it as recon. Then after we perform a scanning, right? Then after we do some enumeration. After that, we do some vulnerability analysis, right? After that, we will do something called gaining access, right? Then after gaining access, what we do? We try to escalate the privilege, right? After this, we will try to execute the application, right? Then after, we will try to hide ourselves, or you can say hide files, right? Or hiding files, right? Then after, the last one is the clearing the tracks or
Log.
logs, right? So these are the methodology an attacker apply while performing an attack, right? This is the full methodology. This is the full phase of hacking, right? So what happens in footprinting? We're trying to gather the information as much as possible for our target, right? Then after using in a scanning part, we try to identify the active hosts, open ports, right? In the enumeration part, what we do? We try to collect the information like a routing table, network user list, simple network management protocol, that is SNMP, right? And what we do in vulnerability analysis, we are trying to find out the loopholes, right? Using this information we gather in these three steps: footprinting, scanning, and enumeration, right? After doing this vulnerability analysis, we will successfully find the loopholes in a system, right? And once we find some loopholes, and why we find loopholes? To get into that system, right? So once we find the loopholes, we will try to gaining the access, right? So how we can gain the access? We are trying to gaining the access by exploiting the vulnerability we find in the phase of vulnerability analysis, right? By cracking the password using some social engineering, right? Exploiting the buffer overflow technique, right? So these are all are the things we do in the phase of gaining access, right? And once we gain the access, once we get inside the system, then the next level of thing is the privilege escalation. We have to escalate the privilege to access some files, right? because once you enter in the organization is already prepared that some attackers might be possible to attack in our system. So they might be possible they give the minimum amount of privilege to the sensitive files, right? So in order to get access to that file, you have to escalate the privilege, right? Because you don't have any privilege, you are unknown to that system, right? So that is where we are perform privilege escalation, right? And why we perform privilege escalation? To execute the application, right? Why to execute the application, right? To delete the application, to copy some contents from that application, right? And to install the malware like a Trojan into that system, like, because since you are going to install something onto that system, but you don't have access to install something in that system, right? So to install the malware, you have to first escalate your privilege, right? So that you have the permission to execute that file, execute that application into that system, right? So that's why we are going to do the privilege escalation there, right? Then after we will hide ourselves so that no one can trace, right? Then after we will clear the tracks using clearing the log file, right? So that is what we need privilege escalation, right? Now let's move to the PPT. So the next one is how. So how we can do privilege escalation, how we can perform it, right? Okay, let me admit someone. Yeah. So anybody, any idea that how we can perform privilege escalation, right? Okay, for that you are here, right? To learn how we can perform it, right? If you know how to perform that, then you didn't join the session, right? Okay.
Right, sir.
Correct. So in the first step, what we do, we first gain access to the network using a normal admin, right? Using a normal, or you can say non-admin user account, right? Then after we will try to gain admin privilege, right? So how we can do that, right? So for that, you have to first learn some enumeration tool, right? That is the by manually how we can do that, right? Some enumeration tools we are going to learn, right? With the help of that, we will see that how we can escalate the privilege, right? First try to learn the some basic thing, right? So let me open my mm, Kali machine here. Well, so anybody have ever play try hack me lab? Solve any try hack me lab ever?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys have experienced that how we can solve a try hack me lab, right? Now first let's check that what are the things we can do here, right? Let me clear the screen. Okay. So the very basic first command is the who am I command, right? With the help of who am I command, we can verify that whether we are logging with root or we are logging with the normal user, right? So here I am logging with a non-admin or non-privileged user, that is the SEP user, right? The other thing is the host name, right? So what host name tell us? Tell us the name of the operating system, right? We are using, that is the Kali, right? So these are the tools. Guys, wait a second. Just wait a second. I am facing some network connectivity. Just give me a while. Actually, there is some problem with my network adapter. Just allow me a minute. Okay, so I think now my screen is visible to everyone. Could anyone confirm me? Hello?
So
Not
your
yet.
audio is clear. You
Okay.
haven't shared the screen yet.
Okay. Your screen is visible or not?
No.
So no, sir,
No,
not yet.
no.
No visible. Okay. Just a minute. Shivangi, could you make me a presenter so that I can share my screen? I'm logging with SEP name.
Yes, sir. I'll just do that. Sir, I've made you the co-host with that ID as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I think
Yes, your
now
screen is
it's
visible now.
visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are learning some basic commands that will help you at the time of Linux privilege escalation, right? That are very basic commands, and you can, with the help of that basic command, you can manually escalate the privilege, right? So the first command we have seen is the who am I, right? The second is the host name, right? Then after there is a command called uname, right? What is the uname command? Anybody tell me?
They're showing a Linux version.
The Linux version, but here it is not showing the Linux version.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So we can use some flags with here, right? That will show you the version of the kernel or anything, right? So we can here going to use the some flags that is uname -a, right? It will give you the version here, right? And here what you can do, like why this is beneficial to you, you can simply copy this version and you can simply Google it, and you can simply search some vulnerability in this version of Linux, right? And definitely will find some write-ups there, right? Or some script there that will help you out to escalate the privilege, right? So that's why this command is useful, right? Then after, let me show you something. Inside the etc directory, what is etc directory? So etc directory, it's their configuration files are there, right? So inside etc there is some important files there, right? So the first file is the fastwd, right? Okay, let me write here fastwd. Second one is the shadow,
Shadow.
right? Yeah, and the third one is the issue, right? So these are the some important files inside the etc directory, right? And with the help of this, you can, these files you can use to escalate the privilege, right? So let me show the content of fastwd. So that let's first go inside the etc directory. Okay. and with the help of cat command, we can read the content of partial body, right? So here, partial body contain the list of all the users, right? So it contains the list of users that are created by me, like from SEP, these are the list of users that I have created, right? And these are the users that are created by the system, or these are the demons, right? You can say these are the system generated user, right? And here the first one is the root, that is the super user or the king, right? Now what it contains, so X means it contains some password, right? But where is the password? Is the X is the password?
No.
Okay. So basically, X stands for that it contains some password, but password is not in the password file. It is in the shadow file, right? Here the 0 means this is the user ID, this is the group ID, and this is the some information about the root user, and this is the home directory of the root, and this is something the cell that is used by root user, right? So where is the password? So password is in the shadow file, right? So let me see you the content of shadow file. So cat shadow, right? But here we have no permission to access this file, right? Since so let's do with the help of sudo shadow, right? Sudo cat shadow. It asks for password, right? So now you can see the content of shadow file, right? So let me show you the content, the password of SEP user, right? So this is the password of SEP user. You can easily see here, right? So what is this? Are you guys able to? Are you guys able to see the password here?
Yes, sir.
And what is the password?
So it is encrypted.
It's in encrypted form.
Okay, so it is encrypted or it is hashed?
It is hashed, sir.
It is hashed, right? It is not encrypted, it is hashed, right? But hashed is a one-way process, right? If someone access this, right? Like you can see here that I am a normal user here. I'm not logging here with a super user. I'm just logging here with a SEP user, right? Instead of that, I am able to read the content of this file, right? So if I can read the content of this file, right? So if this is encrypted, then we can easily decrypt it using some algorithm, right? But since it is hashed, right? So hashed is a one-way process. If you hash something, then you cannot revert it back in the plain format, right? So that's why it is in the format of hash, right? Now the another file that is important for the perspective of Linux privilege escalation is the issue file, right? So let's read the content of issue file, right? So what it reflects the exact version of operating system, right? Now let's read the something like we can something called id command, right? So id will give you the entire id, like user id, group id, groups, which are the groups. Like it will be also beneficial at the time of doing Linux privilege escalation, right? Here you can see that who how many users are added in the group, right? Who are the users, what are their group id, what are their user id, right? So this will be useful command, right? Then after the other command is the uh, find command, right? With the help of find command, you can find some important files in there, right? Like let me find something, like let me do ls here, right? So there are n number of files and folders here, right? But if you want to find a certain file, that certain file is here or not, so with the help of find command, you can easily find, like let me find passwd file is here or not, right? So install, okay, some spelling error. And so yeah, passwd file is here, right? Now let's try some unknown file, right? Find with the help of y, something like this. So uh, okay, so no such file or directory. So with the help of find command, once you get inside the system or once you access someone's system, then with the help of find command, like you are searching for some important file, right? But you don't have that much time, so you can easily find that file with the help of find command, right? Now the another command is the grep command, right? So what we can do with grep command, any idea?
Pattern matching.
Sorry,
Pattern match.
Pattern method, like I'm not getting you.
Pattern. Pattern.
Okay.
I can
PAT.
match pattern
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
and check
Pattern.
if that file is existing or something.
Mhm.
Find with pattern instead of the
Mhm.
actual word.
Right. So actually, you can find some content. That content is matching or not. Like this is the content of you can say shadow file, right? These are the content of shadow file. Now we want that inside the shadow file, content with RAM name is available or not. So you can easily do this with the help of grep command. You just have to do grep and RAM and where you are finding. So you're finding on the shadow file. Okay, so it is showing permission denied because since it's a shadow file, so you can use sudo command here first, right? Sudo grep ram on shadow, right? So yeah, this content is available inside shadow file, right? And you can easily access. You don't have to scroll down or scroll up in order to find that this is available or not, right? So this is the use case of find command and grep command, right?
So
Yeah,
can we dehash it if the password we need?
can be. Okay, you are saying
Dehash.
that no, you cannot dehash this. Like hashing is a one-way process, right? Once you hash something, then you cannot revert it back in the original form. That's the difference between hash and encryption. Encryption is a two-way process. First, you have to change the plain text into ciphertext. Then after, you will have to revert it back ciphertext into plain text. But the same is not happening in the case of hashing, right? Here is something like salt value is added and something like algorithm is added, right? But with the help of John the Ripper, like some password cracking tool, you can crack. But how it actually work? Actually it didn't actually work with the hashing. You didn't crack the hash. You crack the some algorithm files and you deal with the salt value, right? So that is what the hashing means, right? Now the next very important command is the history command, right? So history command is also very important, right? Once you use the history command, might be possible you find something like some employee of that organization use some command that contains some files, like they are dealing with some database, right? So on that history command, you will get the list of all the previous executed command, right? And might be possible you will get some hint there that will be useful for you, right? So these are the some of the basic command, right? And other command is the ps command, right? So with the help of ps command, you can see the what are the process running there, right? And you can also use some flags here, ps hyphen a, that will give you the all the list that what all the process, like in window you can see it with the help of control shift and exit key, that you will see the task manager there, right? There you will find the list of all the process that is currently running on, right? So in the same way, ps command is used in Linux. With the help of that, you can find out what are the process running on, right? So that will also be beneficial for you at the time of Linux privilege escalation, right? You will get more like a more flavor of this command when you will do some practical things, like when you will going to solve the try hack me lab there, right? Then you will learn that what is the real use case of these commands, right? So right now you are thinking that I am just explaining the command like ID, history, right? But it's not like that. It will be useful at the time of privilege escalation. So you can make a list of this command, right? So till now we have learned this much command, right? So these are the commands we have learned till now, from who am I to ps hyphen a, right? So you can take a screenshot or you can make a list of these commands, right? Now the other command is the environment, right? env command. So with the help of env command, you can see the environment variable, right? So that will also beneficial at the time of finding some exploit to exploit the system or exploit the kernel version, right? Now let's move on to some network related commands, right? So some network related commands are, guys, let me check my battery. I have a power cut up here. Okay. So you guys are very familiar with ifconfig command, right? So with the help of config command, we can easily find out the IP address, right? And then after there is a subset of ifconfig, that is the IPA, right? With the help of this IPA, you can also find out the IP version 4, right? Then after there is another command that is netstat command. Okay. So with the help of netstat command, you can also find out more details regarding some networking related stuffs, right? Now, so these are the basic things, or these are the basic enumeration technique or manual technique you can use to enumerate something, right? So now let's move on to try hack me, right? And I am going to open a lab there. So I guess all of you have your profile on TryHackMe, right? And all of you know how to use TryHackMe Lab. Anyone here who don't know how to use this TryHackMe platform, I will explain them. Is there anyone who don't have any exposure with TryHackMe Lab? You can simply write in the chat section that I don't know about TryHackMe.
No, sir.
Oh, so you have no exposure or you have exposure?
I do have
I
some
haven't
exposure.
seen it.
Sorry? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have some exposure with the Try Hack Me platform.
Okay, you have exposure. So anybody here who don't have any exposure, so that I can explain them. Otherwise, I will move forward with the new things.
Sir, mostly everyone would have, because in this internship we are using Try Hack Me platform.
Okay.
Actually, sir, all of the assignments are given generally in TryHackMe workspace.
Okay. All right. So let's move on. Search. Let's search for, is there any lab for Linux privilege escalation or not, right? Linux privilege escalation. Okay. So let's do with this lab Linux privilege escalation, right? So here is the task like introduction. What is privilege escalation? So already we have done with this, right? Now the next thing is the enumeration part, right? So this is something like you can say manual enumeration that already we have learned. That is the host name, right? So these are this some basic manual command. With the help of that, we can simply escalate the privilege, right? Or that will help you to escalate the privilege, right? Once you get in this into someone's system, right? So these are the some commands you can read here, right? Otherwise, let's proceed to the lab here, right? So here you can write the you can solve this lab, right? Once you have to build the SSH connection there, right? Using like a must be there is some ID and password there. Let me check. Okay, so yeah, so we have username and password, right? So we can easily get SSH access of this machine, right? And then after we will solve this lab, right? So that will be your homework. You have to solve this using some manual command, right? What is the host name of the target? We can easily solve it with the host name command, right? Something. So this is something, right? Now let's proceed with something called privilege escalation using sudo, right? So sudo, like we have know, the sudo is the command with the help of that we will get the access of or privilege of root user, right? So how actually it work, right? So let's check on the local machine. Okay, so here I'm logging with SHEP user, right? Now let's try to run a command using sudo. So sudo nano is a text editor, right? Now you can write something or you can save something or you can exit here, right? And now again you can check with the help of whoami command. So again you are SHEP user, right? Now what you can do here, there is a site something called gtfobin, right? So let's go there.
We can run root in nano. That's your mean.
Yeah. Let me show you something. Okay, so here you can find the command. So let's search for nano. There's something like nano, yeah. So since we are dealing with sudo here, right? So let me open the sudo, and it's very easy. You don't have to do anything. So you just have to, you can simply copy the script here, right? Let's check it's working or not, right? So simply copy it and simply try to run it here.
I think we need to copy third line for
Sorry.
command. Okay, continue.
And now let's check. Okay, wait a second. Okay, let me open the new tab here. So here I am logging with SAP user. Let me paste this script and let's check it's working here or not. It's asking for password for SAP, that is the password of normal user. Now got it and I check who am I. So no, it's not working. So let's find the script for some other command, like we can do with the find command. Okay, so for find command, let's try the script is working or not. So here is the script of sudo, that is the let's copy it and let's try to run here. Oh, let's check who am I. So we are root here, right? Now we can do anything here using root privilege, right? Let's go there. Let's on cd slash. Let's check the content here, right? And let's try to create a file there, right? Because with a normal user, with a SEP user, right? SEP, okay, let me open a new tab here. So here I'm logging with this SEP user, right? A normal user. So with the help of normal user, you are unable to create a file, even a file in slash something vj, right? So no permission, you have to create a file in slash directory, right? As a normal user. But since you are a root user here, so you can easily create a file here, right? Let's do it trew, something like this. So yeah, you can create a file here with trew, where is trew?
Under the TMP.
Sorry, under the
TMP.
yeah, here. So now here you are successfully become a root user here, right? Using normal script that you find on gtfobin, right? So in this way we can do privilege escalation and we can simply escalate the privilege, right? And there are more than n number of techniques. There are some script like linpiece and many more things are there in privilege escalation part, right? With the help of that you can escalate the privilege, right? And the script is something that depends on the version of the operating system you are using, like all the time some patch and some updates are coming, right? So all the time we have to update the script and we have to change the script, right? So that's why don't depend on the script. Try to first learn the basic things. Try to first do something manually, right? So that's the way we can escape the privilege, right? So since my battery is running on and there is a power cut off in my hometown from the last night, right? So let me check the PPT. Okay, so in this way we can do privilege escalation. Like we have seen only two techniques here. First is the on the manual way, like using some command. That command will help you out when you do some practical approach. Like here, you didn't get the more flavor that how we can do privilege escalation using some manual command like uname, hostname, right? But when you uh, perform the escalation part in the real scenario, then that command will definitely help you out there, right? So that's all about how, right? So now let's talk about the how we can defend ourselves or how we can defend our organization from privilege escalation part, right? So these are the some tips with the help of that we can prevent or we can defend our organization. Like we can use multi-factor authentication and authorization. Like since you can apply a multi-factor authentication on a file, so if anyhow the attacker get the password or get the access, they will have to first verify the second factor authentication in order to get access to that file, right? The same like happening at the time of in the case of Facebook. Like if you set the two factor authentication in your Facebook profile, then someone can get the password of your Facebook profile. Then instead of having the password, he or she is unable to log in with your Facebook profile because they have to put the OTP there, right? And the OTP is only in your phone, right? So we can implement to multi-factor authentication and authorization, right? And the second thing is we can regularly patch and update the kernel, right? Updating the kernel is the most important thing because unupdated things easily get attacked by the attacker, right? The third thing is the encrypt the sensitive data, right? Like it is a case of Uber attack. If you guys hear about the Uber attack, so what happens there? The Uber, like some sensitive data is not encrypted there, so the attacker get inside the Uber system, right? And there's very easily they collect the data because the data was in the form of plain text, right? Or some even some passwords are there in the form of plain text. So they are not that much careful with the security part, right? So try to encrypt the sensitive data, right? Then after remove or block unwanted application that is used to schedule tasks. There is something called schedule task. Like sometimes we schedule a task using some cron job, right? And cron job can be scheduled by super user, right? So once we get once we have the access of super user, then we can schedule some task, and inside the task we can attach some script there. So once the task is performed, the script will also execute with the help of that task. So just remove the unwanted or the third party application that is used to schedule tasks, right? So because with the help of that we can also perform the privilege escalation, or we can also perform some attacks, right? The last thing is the audit file system permission on the regular basis. We have to regularly check the permission that which user have which permission, and regularly we have to update or audit the file permission, right, on the regular basis. So guys, I am very sorry for that. Like there is a power cut up in my hometown and I just have 30%, 13% battery here, right? And my battery backup is not that much good. So i'm I'm planning, I have planned to explain the entire try acme and try to solve out the entire lab, but I'm very sorry for that. So in the next class or in the next session, we hope, or definitely if I will anyhow I will get charge my laptop, then definitely I will try to solve this lab, right? So here I am sharing the link with you, right, of this lab. I have planned to share the knowledge regarding how to do kernel exploits, how to perform automated enumeration tool with using some automated tool like lean pass, lean enum, right? But unfortunately I have power cut off here, right? So I am just sharing the link with you. You guys can try to solve this out, right, by the chat section. Okay.
Meanwhile, if anyone has any doubts, you can post them either in the chat group or on YouTube. If anyone has any
Yeah.
queries which sir could clarify.
So the only thing we have learned in this class is the using some sudo. We can using sudo access. We can how we can escalate the privilege. So you just have to go on GTFO win, right? I am also sharing the link of this site, the GTFO win. Okay, so here you have to go there, right? And there you will find some script there that will help you out to become a root from a normal user, right?
Meanwhile, I've posted the quiz and the feedback form link. The quiz form will close within 20 minutes. So everyone, while sir is clarifying any doubts which are available, please submit the quiz form as well.
So till now, any question regarding how to escalate using sudo and how to escalate using manual method, you can ask me, because I don't know when my laptop is going to be shut down. Even I don't have the idea regarding that. So
Sir,
hurry up,
could you
guys.
please share your LinkedIn?
Okay, you are asking for my LinkedIn profile. So
Yes, sir.
Nikhil sir will share my LinkedIn profile. Like I have to open LinkedIn. Like okay, just wait a second. I am sitting.
Okay, sir, not an issue.
Just give me a while.